Hey, Cleaning Nation, Mike Campion here with our favorite Canadian imported all the way from Mexico, Suzanne Bandick today. And you know, by the way, when I have Suzanne on, 90 to 100% of the time, she picks a topic. So if you're like, they're amazing, I'm like, I know, aren't they great? She's just so good with being in touch with our clients, what's working, what's not working, what they're stressed about. So today, we are going to talk about over 1,100 podcasts. I want to go so far as to say, I don't know if we've ever done a full podcast on this, and it's so very important. Most of, as we know, the growth that we get in our business and our life comes from when things go not well, not when they go well. And we want to talk about and enjoy when things go well, as we should. Like, it's a big deal. I think we don't celebrate enough of the wins. But like it or not, I think the default is we're kind of defined by how things go or how we respond when things don't go well. And I don't know that we have as much of a plan for that. I think we kind of just, like so many things, go on default, and that's where the growth opportunity has. And not only how we choose to respond to when things we perceive not going well has to do with how well we succeed and how well we grow and how well we recover, but also has a lot to do with how well we experience our business, right? If I've got a business that anyone else in the world would look at and goes, I'm so jealous, it's amazing, I would love that business, but I choose to decide that it all sucks. I work too much, I don't get paid enough, I don't like the people I'm working with. It could be the exact same business that maybe Suzanne has and chooses to feel differently about it and has the exact same business but loves it. So not only the kind of baseline success is defined by profit, is affected by how we respond when things go well, but what I think is a better definition of success is how we experience our business. Is defined quite a bit by how we choose to respond when things go in a way we define as not good, which other people might define as just fine. So that's a big fat canvas I'm laying out for Suzanne to begin painting on.
Beautiful. Good morning, everybody, or hello, depending what time it is. Mike, so yes, thank you for the intro. Definitely the topic I felt was important to cover today is when things happen to us in our business, things that we're not pleased about. A customer gives us a bad review, a member of our team broke something, things are just not going well. Somebody spoke badly to us, or perhaps we responded in a way that we later thought we shouldn't have, and we regret it. And these are the things that we feel upset, we can feel mad, sad, helpless. They're upsetting to us. However, how we deal with these has the ability to uplift our business or slowly derail our business.
Or
So
quickly derail our business.
Could be.
If we're being
So
honest.
again, it's the thoughts we're carrying. So if we can work through these and let them go, it will serve us better. So I actually have 3 steps that I thought we could discuss today.
It
So
wouldn't be a Suzanne podcast if we didn't have a series of steps, typically 3, sometimes 4 or 5. You make my heart happy, Suzanne.
perfect. Okay, well, I'm going to go to a mentoring technique that my mentor, Bob Proctor, taught me. And it's 3 simple statements. When something happens, you say, number 1, it is what it is.
Hmm.
Okay, so we cannot change something that happened. It's now in the past. We have no ability to go back and redo. That is gone. So we have to accept, number 1, it is what it is. But now I have a now moment. So in that now moment, number 2 is it's our opportunity to harvest the good and see what we can learn from it, hopefully so that we can stop it from happening again.
Hmm.
Right? A very important step. Harvest the good. What's the good stuff? And number 3 is let the rest go.
Hmm.
And that is a choice. It's a conscious decision. My recommendation is that you choose not to hold on to anything that doesn't serve you. Now, Mike, how would you like to insert a scenario in there? And we'll work through it.
I honestly thought the 2 that you gave were great. Very common. We broke something, or not we, the team broke someone, or we got a negative review. I think those are both perfect examples.
Okay, so let's do the negative review. It is what it is. The client, before we could fix anything, they actually got on Google and wrote us a bad review. And that can sometimes send us for a loop. So we have to say, it is what it is. Step number one. Now, what can we learn from this? One, is it maybe important, or have we checked in on our clients lately? Could we have headed this off at the pass simply by checking in with them? Could we have, maybe they were upset and we didn't respond, right? What's the scenario? What change could we make in our business to prevent fewer or no negative reviews?
Mm. I don't know if you're getting here, and if I'm messing things up, put me back in line. But I really like the extreme ownership aspect of entrepreneurship, which can be scary, but it can also be powerful. So I really like, it is what it is. Like, the past is gone. Like, if there was something we could do by worrying about it or cursing about it or yelling, then let's have that conversation. But there's not. We can't do anything about the past. So I think we overvalue what we can do about the past, which is nothing. So worrying, thinking, yelling, complaining, nothing. And I think we also undervalue what we can do going forward. So you gave opportunities to fix it going forward, but I'm like, I'm not giving up on this right now. So whether it be a negative review or breaking something, certainly if we get a negative review, we want to own what could have we done? Like, why did we get the review? Like, well, they're a crazy person. And maybe they are, but you still said yes to them. You still took their money. You still said you'd go in their house. There's probably an indicator they're crazy before any of that happened. So I like the extreme ownership of not, it's easy to blame. Well, they were wrong. They lied. They lied. They said we were there for 28 minutes and I know we were there for an hour and a half, whatever the case may be. Better for our emotional to feel good about the situation, just make blame. But that extreme ownership gives opportunity. Well, are they insane? Maybe they felt we were only there for 38 minutes. Who set the expectation we'd be there for now? Like, we can really kind of look at what's our side of the road and we can fix that. Second, not only does that give us a better job for who we accept as a client, how we treat those clients, if there is a problem, how we deal with it. Also, we can fix it or not fix it. We could do our best to fix it right now. I can call Suzanne. Let's just say Suzanne left me the bad review and say she's a liar. She said this thing and I know it wasn't true and she's just the worst human ever. And I'm like, well, I'm going to settle her hat. And I get on there and I say the other, and I tell my side. It just looks like two crazy people yelling, right? So I could also call her and go, hey, Suzanne, I'm so sorry. What's going on, girlfriend? Like, we're not here to piss people off. We want to make you happy. What can I do to fix it? I can also respond to the review, screw you and the horse you rode in on. I hope you and your family die. Or I can settle our hash. I didn't do that. We did. Suzanne's covering her face. Like, why would you say such mean things to me? I'm just role playing. I know. I gotta always take it beyond where it should be taken. In the review, I'm so sorry, Suzanne. We don't want to make anyone unhappy. So we want to yell and scream and argue. Maybe Suzanne is a liar. I can prove I've got facts and documentation and she's wrong. And there's nothing about it. Again, crazy arguing crazy. They don't know who's crazy, right? It just sounds like crazy people yelling at each other. Even if the old joke about why do you keep beating your wife? Like, there's not really a way I can respond to that without sounding like a crazy person. I don't beat my wife. I sound very defensive. So if I just kind of ignore the crazy, which is hard to do emotionally, and go, so sorry, we don't want you to be unhappy. Here's my personal cell. Here's my personal email. Whatever you're willing to share publicly, please reach out. Let me know how I can fix it. And again, you're like, well, that takes care of the public. If I really mean it, maybe I call her. And maybe she's going to yell at me, be crazy, and I have to take that risk. I don't have to take that risk, but I can choose to take that risk. But likely, she's not a crazy person. She's got a point, and maybe I disagree with it, but she's not literally insane. There's no basis in reality. Something happened, and she feels she's been harmed. And I probably had something to do with that. Like, rarely is Suzanne 100% wrong and I'm 100% right. Almost never. Maybe it's 80-20 and she's 20% wrong and I'm 80% wrong. Who knows? So I just like the opportunity to fix it. And same thing with, we broke something, right? We can stressed out about the thing being broke. Well, there's not much we can do about that. But what we're really concerned about is upset to the customer or loss of money. And if we're like, well, that's something we can fix, Suzanne being mad at me because I broke her thing, that's a super reasonable thing. And me being flippant or arguing with her, it's not my fault. You shouldn't have left it out. It was too delicate. That's going to get a response that may cost me money in the future, or certainly is probably going to get Suzanne angry with me. Suzanne, I'm so sorry. There's no reason you should ever pay us to come to your home and have any expectation someone's going to get broken. We make mistakes. I'm not saying we're perfect. It was an accident. We certainly didn't do it out of maliciousness. But at the end of the day, your thing's broken, whether we did it on purpose or not. What do I need to do to make you whole? How can I make you happy? And then whatever she says, add a box of roses or chocolates on top of that. And look at Suzanne smiling. We're faking. And she's already like, I think this works out.
I love it.
So there's just a ton of ability to own the situation. Last thing I'll say, I'll turn it back to Suzanne. I try my best to take the word problem out of my vocabulary and put an opportunity. So, well, the problem is, Mike, we got a negative review. Well, the opportunity here is, Mike, we got a negative review. Just that one word changes everything. Well, the problem is we broke this thing and it was expensive. So the opportunity we've got is we broke something expensive. And I found Suzanne maybe was a B minus. I wouldn't say I would judge her. I was a B minus vendor for her. She liked me. It's fine. She got a lot of people in her life. If you ask how's Mike's cleaning, she'd go, they're fine. And I break this expensive thing. And I take ownership above and beyond what even she thinks I should. And I make it right even above and beyond what she thinks I should. There's a really good chance I go to an A+ vendor and she starts telling stories, and she's going to tell a story either way. It's just, do I want to be the hero or the villain of the story? And I've got a lot to say about that and how I respond to it. And the cool thing is we're not lying, cheating, and stealing, right? If I've stolen from Suzanne, even if I give the money back, I'm still a thief. If someone broke something, it was an accident, or, mostly with the review, it wasn't us maliciously screwing our clients. We made a mistake, honest, or, maybe it was well thought out at the time. Maybe it wasn't. And if we just go, I'm sorry, how can I fix it? How can I make this right? You got a lot more power in the moment than I think you do, or than I think you have. All right, there you go. There's preaching over, Suzanne. Back to you with the good stuff.
I love it. Mike, you are right on track with exactly what I wanted to share with everyone. It's it. It is what it is. Now we look at, just like you said, let's go back to the beginning of this. Well, was that client a good fit? What do I learn from this? Well, maybe I shouldn't have accepted them as a client, right? So you go back to that. That's going to make a difference in your future. Mm-hmm. We've had a lot of aha moments lately in with our clients on recognizing the employees that they hire and their importance to the business. Mm-hmm. There is such a difference from a non-core value match employee and a B or C employee to a core value match employee, an A employee. And the realization is, wait a minute, if at the beginning, at the interview, I ask the questions, I choose the core value match, it gives me a better result. And I have less stress down the road, right? So that's something that you can learn from having a challenge with an employee, being it is what it is. Now I go through and I deal with it in this moment to the best way I need to deal with it. But I can go back and say, how could I have prevented this to the best of my ability?
Mike Campion here. Do you ever listen to the podcast and go, this is great information, I just wish I could actually get it implemented and I wish I could get some help? Well, we do that. If you would like either myself or my team's help actually coming up with a plan that's specialized to you and your business, because with these podcasts, obviously we have to be very general and we can only go 20 minutes at a time. If you'd like to jump on a call with myself or my team, go to growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. We'll jump on a call. There's no charge. And we'll help you get some absolute clarity around exactly what to do next and how to do it. The reason we don't charge for these calls is the plan that we come up with, people want help implementing that. If that's the case, we're happy to talk about it. And if it's not, that's okay too. We're happy to just help you come up with a plan. So if you want to translate the information you're learning here into an actual plan that can change your life, give us a ring, growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. Love to either myself or have one of our coaches walk you through and actually personalize the content you get here to where you're at with your business. Talk soon. And there's always so much opportunity. So again, I'll just keep making Suzanne the person where the
thank you.
Play. No, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. You're not always evil. Sometimes I'm the bad one. We'll go back and forth. So if I hire Suzanne as a cleaner, And again, the thing she said presupposes that you know your core values. So that's a great, again, some people get bummed or like this employee acted weird and I yelled at him or I wrote him up or I, did whatever you think you're supposed to do with like, I gave him a verbal warning and then I gave a written warning. I put it in his official file. And I don't want to say it doesn't work, but you don't get the behavioral change that you'd like. An opportunity, right? We can go, all right, well, what if, if I gave her a demerit and now I'm going to give her a formal disadulation? Like, how many of these do I go before I go, maybe this isn't working? If Suzanne is the type of person who just wants it done right because it's who she is, has nothing to do with me, that's just who she is. If she's gardening in her own home, if she's helping me do dishes at my house after we had her and her husband over for dinner, she's just going to do it right. Not because of just who she is, regardless if she's getting paid or it really makes no difference. That's who she is. If doing things right, or keeping your word, or having a high standard, or thinking of others first is something that I value at a deep level, and that's who Suzanne is, I don't really need to give her a lot of training around that. And if it's not who she is, really, there's no amount of training in the world that's going to, I don't want to say fix that, but align us is probably a better way to go. There's plenty of jobs she could do where she doesn't, that's doing things the right way, or caring about others or whatever may not be a fit. So the ownership comes in. I can easily blame Suzanne because she broke something. And this is a third thing she's broken in 3 months. And the last 2 times I yelled, I screamed, I threatened, who knows what I did, but it didn't work. I could go, well, it's completely Suzanne. She's broken 3 things. I've told her not to break things. She said she wouldn't break things. Here we are again with a third broken thing. All her fault, which feels good because I can just put all the weight on Suzanne's shoulders and I can just trot off the thing. But the reality is it's not her business. I'm the one stuck with the results. So it might feel better that, it's all Suzanne's fault and I have no culpability, but it's still my business. And at the end of the day, they're not going to fire Suzanne. They're going to fire me. So if I look at it as an opportunity, just like Suzanne said, well, who hired Suzanne? It was either me or someone on my team. Okay. Well, if it was me, there's something we can look at. If it was someone on my team, were they following the process or not following the process? They weren't. Okay. Well, whose job is it for me to make sure the process is getting followed? Probably mine. They did follow the process. Oh, okay. Well, here's an opportunity to fix the process because they followed the process and we still had a bad result. If they followed the process, Suzanne was good, just made a mistake, well, how'd that conversation go? And if I keep yelling at her X, Y, and Z and it doesn't work, maybe I can have a core values-based conversation. Like if Suzanne really is someone who tells the truth, just that's who she is. She loves telling the truth. It offends her to be dishonest. And she's dishonest because none of us are perfect, right? We all violate our core values at some point. None of us are perfectly people of integrity. And I have that conversation around her values. She's immediately going to go, oh my gosh, you're right. That's not who I am. Thank you, Mike. I didn't even see that blind spot. I hate dishonesty. And when it's in me, I really hate it. Thank you for the heads up. Obviously, I can't go to her as a jerk, but if I just calmly go, hey, you said you did X, you did Y. That's not who I think you are. What am I missing? You know how many times I'm going to have that conversation with Suzanne? 0 to 1, because it's who she is. And if she isn't a liar, or that's not important to her, or she's just always blaming the other guy and not owning it, I could have that conversation till the cows come home. She's going, I didn't do it. It was my fault. I never said that. Well, it's some other person. There's always going to be a reason. And at some point I go, well, do I want to keep having this conversation? Because I'm obviously not going to change Suzanne. She's in who she is. And I can still own it and be like, hey, Suzanne, let me free up to find a home that you're going to be a better fit in. So I just can't encourage enough for you guys, all of us, to take the ownership of, just like Suzanne said, what has happened has happened. I think we spend too much time trying to fix or change. It's impossible. We don't have a time machine. But how we respond, we have so much more. I think we give a lot of our power away thinking like, well, Suzanne's here and she already broke it. There's nothing I can do. And the person's pissed. And we just keep rehashing the facts that are unchangeable and don't spend any time on, well, what could I do now? What could I do if I wanted to fix it? All right. I feel like I'm getting super preachy, Suzanne. You're being way too kind and letting me rant. You got to cut me off sooner.
It's all good thoughts, Mike. That's why I love the interaction. Let's also, I'm going to put another tool in the toolbox for everybody. When something happens and we say it is what it is, let's look at for ourselves how we would like to see it. Okay. It's last podcast, we talked a little bit about segment intending or ideal scenes. So this could be one of them. Let's say you're working with, you have a cleaner who is not doing a good job. Okay. It's a small thing, but it is what it is. Small thing, a big thing. It depends how you're looking at it. So it is what it is. They're not doing a good job. Now I'm stuck with how do I go through the process of reprimanding, talking to them. Potentially, it's at the point where you need to fire them, right? So you've got to look at not only that segment in time to say, this is what I need, recognize this is what I need to do. This is my choice. And this is how I perceive and choose it to go, as well as keeping the vision in your mind of what my business looks like. Right? So if we're talking about staff and you have a vision that all of your team works well together, they're happy, they're A players, they always step in, they follow your core values. You've got this fantastic team that really enjoys each other and your clients are all speaking well of them. If that's your vision and you've got someone who doesn't fit in, it is what it is. Harvest the good. What do you learn from it? Make your decision as to what you choose to do and do it.
Yeah, without getting too artsy, I think David or Michelangelo, who's making David, said he saw David in the chunk of marble and he just chipped away everything that was not David. And I think as a business owner, one of our big jobs is to have a vision of what the business should look and feel like. And we're often pretty clear on that, but we get afraid to make the decisions that will, like, well, I have to have this difficult conversation with Suzanne. And I know Suzanne is not David, right? I've got there not this business that I can see, or the way that we're interacting or she's interacting with the business isn't there. And part of being a big boy and a big girl is, even when I think I heard it first from Tim Ferriss, I'm guessing he heard it from somewhere else. The quality of your life is dictated by the number of difficult conversations you're willing to have. So, and I would add to that, in the speed with which you're willing to have them. So typically, I'll give you an extra tool in your box, or give the Cleaning Nation extra tool in their box. Over the last 30 years, I don't know how many people I've had to fire. Probably not hundreds, but definitely dozens. And I can't think of a single circumstance when I knew in my heart, like I had that break of Suzanne's not the fit for whatever reason. Rarely did I act immediately and have that conversation with her in that moment. Typically it'd be weeks, sometimes even months before I actually did it. And I knew she was not David, right? I could see the picture of the company. I knew this thing was out, but I just didn't have the emotional fortitude to have that conversation. Of all the times I've done that, you'd think there'd be like, well, some of the times I waited and I was glad because I was angry or I was whatever, and maybe whatever. And it worked out that I waited. And other times, no, I think it's not that. It's literally 100-0. Not once did I wait and go, I'm so, and again, I'm not saying in anger, please don't speak to someone in anger. So if you need, when I say wait 10, 20 minutes or something, I don't mean that, but a day, a week, a month, the moment that you're able to have that conversation with them without negative emotions. Sorry, something's in my throat. Not once did I go, I wish I would have done that later. Like I waited 2 weeks for Suzanne, had the conversation. Man, I wish I would have waited another 2 weeks. It was always, I wish I would have done it sooner. So I just want to encourage guys, gals. I think a lot of this is about ownership, right? When things go the way we don't want, something was broken. It's the same, the two examples we've been using, negative review, something was broken. If I get a negative review from Suzanne, I call her 2 weeks later or never, that's going to be far less effective than the moment it goes up. Suzanne, and the moment I can emotionally, and I should say emotionally, come to Suzanne in love and in caring and not in anger. When we break something, right? You don't have to call that moment, but if you call a week later, it's going to be hard for me to tell Suzanne I care about her and the thing that was broken a week later. If I call her the next day or the same day, sometime, it's a different kettle of fish. So I think a lot of it is just owning our outcome. And we want to focus on the things we can't change, i.e. what's already happened. And we don't want to focus on the things we can change, because the things that we can change have a cost associated with them. And the things that, mourning the things that have already happened have a cost, but it's a lot easier to ignore the cost. So there we go. I'm ending with my philosophical take. Suzanne, tie a bow on this any way you see fit.
It's about taking our control back. As I listen to you, these are the words that come to me. So often we feel out of control. This thing that has happened feels out of our control. How we deal with what has happened to us is in our control. And there's a world of difference. You can ignore it. You can hide under the bed. You can say, not going to deal with it. And it doesn't feel good ever.
Mm.
But if you approach it and you say, you see it, I acknowledge it, I see it, it is what it is. How can I make the best of it in this moment? How can I learn from it? How can I grow? You uplift yourself and your company. There's no derailing involved, and you feel in control. It will increase your confidence. So I highly recommend do what you need to do and let the rest go. And it changes your business and your life. And you have far more energy.
Yeah, and better energy.
Uh-huh.
So I'll end with a quick example that everyone's going to relate with, and then a quick call to action. Because if you don't take any action, as much fun as we've had, not going to get a ton of value in your life going forward. So probably the most poignant example I can think of what came to mind when Suzanne was saying this is kids. You'll hear 18-year-old kids that are like, I was born poor. I was born rich. My parents didn't love me. My parents spoiled me, whatever the case may be. Or even some really tragic things that I don't want to get into. Just really bad things happen to humans, right? And I had a lot of grace for those people at 18, right? Like it's hard for me to be successful because, and I don't think it's helpful for them, but we get it, right? They're kids, they're grown up, they're trying to figure it out. They're, especially at 15, 16, like I have a hard time because of this thing. I have a lot less grace at 25 and almost none at 30, right? And you can see people that have taken both. Perfect example. Like, gosh, I think it was a Malcolm Gladwell book. But two twin boys, sons of an alcoholic father. And they said, how do you drink? And the first boy said, well, of course I don't touch it. And they go, why? Well, look at my dad. How could I possibly? And the second son said, I'm an alcoholic. And they say, why? He goes, what else could I be? Look at my dad. So again, at age 10, when they're going through what they had to go through with their dad, lots and lots, not that we don't have grace for them all the way throughout, but harder for them to kind of forge their way, right? Most of you listening are over 18, and we can choose to be the guy that's like, I don't touch the alcohol. Well, what else could I do? Look at my dad. So the is what it is. The dad was an alcoholic. Those boys couldn't have changed that reality about their life. But both of them saying completely opposite answers for the same reason. Look at my dad. They're using their power to do that. And one guy used his power to do something I think is going to serve him very well. Not that there's anything wrong with alcohol, but if one's a complete alcoholic and the one chooses not to touch it, they're just getting different outcomes, but they had the same gosh darn event, right? So whether it's client quitting, employee quitting, bad review, whatever makes you feel yucky, you could be the guy that goes, well, I don't drink. How could I? Look at how I was raised. Look at this origin story. Okay, so there's the thing I think we'll all get. And the call to action, guys, gals, is do something different right now. If you're not getting the results that you want out of your business, you can just keep doing more of the same and hope it gets a different result. But we all know that's literally crazy, right? Or you can go and do something different. And if you feel like us as a team can help, reach out. growmycleaningcompany.com, Instagram, blah, blah, blah. Do you think we're full of crap? Okay, maybe. Not Suzanne, obviously, but me, maybe. Find a team that's not, but do something different, right? Give yourself the gift of getting what you want, taking full responsibility. And, well, I did this and I do that and I'm in this thing and people don't want to work. Fine, that is what it is. But just like Suzanne said, great, what am I going to do differently to get a different result? It's on you now, right? No more complaining, no more judging. Get the help that you need. We'll talk to you soon, Clean Nation. Hey, Cleaning Nation, if you dug the content you just got, we don't do any ads and I don't sell anything on this podcast, but if you would just subscribe, rate, and review, it would be huge and I'd be so appreciative. Not only is it going to help me, but you'll help other owners of cleaning companies across the world work less, make more, and get profitable. So if you appreciate the value we give, again, subscribe, rate, and review. It would mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it. And we sure appreciate your time and attention.